Welcome to the Unscripted SEO Interview Podcast. Yes, it's 100% unscripted, 100% unrehearsed, 100% unedited, and 100% real. I'm your host, Mark A. Preston. For anyone that's thinking of just packing in their full-time job to go freelance, because lots of people have just told them, when you go freelance, we'll give you lots of work, that scenario. So that transition, obviously, when you're in the full-time job, you can't actively market yourself online. So what advice do you give to anyone that's asked, well, what's the steps between the big full-time job and going freelance? What needs to be done in order for that to happen?
Well, that is such an amazingly deep question. I'm probably going to answer imperfectly, but I can give you the ideas and the scenarios. So first off, whether you're working full-time or not, you should always be open to helping people. I know that sounds like giving away the milk for free, but my thing is I did a lot of conferences representing the company. I was quite visible in things like this, being interviewed and stuff. And I built somewhat of a reputation. There's different tiers in SEO. You got the guys up here, the Barry Schwartz and stuff. You got a lot of people like me down here. And then you got a billion people down here. And it's not hierarchy or structure of knowledge. That's just visibility, which is really interesting by another whole other conversation. So always try and be visible, always try and write. Give back to the community in the knowledge you learn. So whether that was talking about big sites getting over panda penalties and things like that. I was doing that at homes.com. They were very nice to let me do that. But like I said, I had this moonlighting that was after hours, weekends. I had limits to that. And so I did have that cushion. So not everyone's going to have that cushion. Not everyone is going to give you the job and the work that they said they would once you go freelance. But I think the key thing there is, LinkedIn is a pretty good resource. I never did the Upwork route or anything else like that ever. But LinkedIn is a pretty good resource for making connections. I make connections and I give free advice. When that free advice works out, then people want to pay you for more advice because you've set yourself up from a limit standpoint. So the steps and the most important steps that most people don't realize is we are SEOs. We're not financial analysts or anything else. So the first thing is to set up something that does your invoicing and proposals and contracts, because I have many times done work above and beyond an agreement and had nothing to go back to and say, I've gone above and beyond on this agreement. So getting something in place that does time tracking, so not necessarily for a client, there might be, that has proposals that you can easily get out, because that takes a long time to do a proposal. If you have a template or a system that can help you with it, that's great. Contracts, invoice, payments. No one originally goes into SEO freelancing and says, I've got all this sorted out. I say no one. Obviously, it depends. But not many people do. And that's the first thing that ends up not happening. You end up getting enough work and you end up not billing for it or not being able to track the time. I use a great tool called Bonsai. It's made for freelancers and it does everything that I want. I've used them for probably 4 or 5 years. And so you've got to find something like that, a platform that makes sense, that can do it. Then you've got to have brilliant follow-up, and the knowledge you get as a client or as an agency is that you have to follow up, because if you're a brand side, you're used to good agencies following up consistently. If they want your business, they will be nurturing you. So you've got to learn that as a freelancer, to nurture. It's not a waste of time. And then you got to learn that follow up with value is more important than just a follow up for a touch base. So I do that a lot. I'm very much an online person. I'm very much a quick responder. to any kind of inquiry or any kind of can you help or anything like that. And I'm very good at gating off, and this is a learned skill, at gating off time that's free versus time that's paid. Because you can give away free, everyone wants free, and you can get 1,000 clients for free, but if you can't pay the bills, then it doesn't matter. So you got to understand that you give away a little bit, and then you make it very clear that there's a charge or there's a cost to something more. And one trick I do is I send an invoice for free stuff with 100% discount, and that way it shows that there's a cost to the time. And you just try and do that. Be honest, be upfront, have integrity, always deliver, always over deliver, just enough. Once again, like I said, I'm not brief. I talk a lot, Mark. I'm glad this is what you said. It's 4 hours.
I tell you what, that idea is gold. Actually, if you're doing any work, sending your normal hourly or whatever invoice, so they understand if you want to work with them, they already know how much you charge.
Yeah.
I mean, it's I've never heard that before. People do. But
I'm unique. How's that? I'm like content.
Well, we're all different in different ways.
That's right.
And
hey, look, there are lots of improvements to what I do. I don't always, sometimes I send an invoice or a notification too late because you just chat to someone online or something. There is no perfect in anything I've done, but hopefully the stuff I've learned makes the imperfect less regular.
You've been listening to the Unscripted SEO Interview Podcast with me, Mark A. Preston. Join us next time as I interview more top SEO professionals.